Okay, it's Phil Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat, and today is the 13th of January, 2021. It's a Wednesday. My presentation today is going to be on winning respect for Confederate memorials. And before I get started here, let me point out to you on the YouTube screen, not on this image where I am, but on the YouTube screen, click on the notification bell up above in the upper right, and you'll be notified when I have future episodes. Notification bell in the upper right. Okay, let me pull up my notes and we'll go ahead and get started on my presentation. Winning respect for Confederate memory. In the 1950s, homosexuality was socially scorned. It was taboo. Hollywood stars like Rock Hudson, who hid theirs, often thrived, whereas outed gays like Tab Hunter became social pariahs whose careers were destroyed. Presently, however, both political parties eagerly accept gays so long as the new members' political tenets conform with those of the party. Homosexuals gradually achieved their present level of acceptance largely because of high profile gays increasingly disclosing their status rather than keeping it private. Shortly before his death, for example, Rock Hudson outed himself. Gradually, the public began to realize that gays comprised a giant underculture that included many people the public otherwise admired for their professional accomplishments. The homosexual is no longer the clichéd misfit of prior eras. To the contrary, some movie stars even seem anxious to disclose their homo or bisexuality as a way to increase their public popularity. Confederate heritage is similarly ostracized and often condemned because her supporters are likewise portrayed as cliched misfits who spend their time at Ku Klux Klan meetings when they are not trying to defend Confederate symbols. For example, a few years ago, I was interviewed by a college sociology professor concerning my feelings regarding Confederate memory. He was out to do a legitimate survey and tally the results. He asked many prepared questions so as to tally my responses for future analysis. But he repeatedly asked one question that puzzled me. The professor, are you a member of any groups? Me. Groups? What do you mean, groups? Professor. Any groups? Me. You mean like Civil War roundtables? Professor. Any groups? I remained perplexed by the question for 6 months or more, but finally I concluded that he asked the question of all the respondents because he suspected that at least some of them were members of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, I might be wrong about that, but it seems to be the only logical explanation for continually, repeatedly asking me that question. When I said, I don't know what you mean by groups. I don't know what he means. I still don't know what he means, but I can't. There does seem to be a feeling among people that don't know much about those of us that like and want to retain Confederate memory and respect the memory of the Confederate soldier. They don't seem to have much contact with people like us, and so they don't really know what we're thinking anyway. Like the post-1950s homosexuals, today's Confederate heritage proponents may never become accepted without some sort of ambassador program. If progressively more men and women will disclose their support for Confederate memory, it will be harder and harder for our critics to dismiss all of us. To our critics, an ambiguous, quote, them, defined only by a so-called misbegotten respect for Confederate memory, makes it easy to ostracize us because we are nothing more to them but an abstraction. It is far harder to hate one's uncle or cousin when they act in stereotypical ways, such as putting a Confederate flag bumper sticker on their car. their more typical reaction might be to seek common ground with us and common ground and understanding with us as their family members and friends. Most of our family members and friends presumably want to avoid alienating us or anyone who they're family and friends with, whom they might otherwise respect and obviously like, if not love. It is especially important for Confederate heritage fans to identify themselves now because of the growing tyranny of cancel culture, the lies, distortion, and other nefarious methods used to destroy our monument and symbols and destroy their popularity within our society. It will only get worse if our critics continue to see only the stereotype supporter. Their hostility will only grow if we fail to show them that their portrayal of the heritage supporter is wrong. While those of us who might lose our jobs or financial livelihood may be excused from raising our hands or speaking out so much, the rest of us should, in fact, raise our hands and show who we are, especially if we're retired or financially independent. We can afford to lose our fair weather friends. I don't give a damn about fair weather friends, and I trust you don't either. If they don't respect what we feel is important to us, then they're not true friends to begin with. But our more vulnerable supporters, the guy that has a family to support and could lose his job by saying he has an affinity for Confederate heritage. That guy can't take the risk like we can. So I'd like to conclude with a couple of things. One is, for those of us that can do it, let's not give our critics, the Confederate memory critics, a way to stereotype all of us. Let's raise our hand and say, yes, I do support Confederate memory. And if you know me and you have respect for me, then perhaps you'll respect that. If not, well, that's your choice. But you know me. And the more of us that they know, that's the whole point. The more of us that they know, we're no longer an abstraction. It makes it harder and harder for them to hate the abstraction because it's not an abstraction, it's real people. But now for those of you that, especially with what's happened now with the cancel culture, it's remarkable. It is chilling the way the cancel culture has responded. The tech companies in Silicon Valley, the Democrat Party, and the liberal politicians, and the liberal, not the liberal society, because it's not truly liberal, but the left-wing society that wants to, there's a vengeance here. They want to destroy anyone that doesn't agree with them, and they will. Michael Malice, who is a commentator, a Yale graduate, and I think authoritative commentator on these sorts of things, he grew up in the Soviet Union. And he realizes that just because this is America does not mean a totalitarian state could not become a reality here. So for those of you that can't afford to lose your job, support those who can't be canceled so easily or not so vulnerable to the consequences of being canceled. Now, this is self-serving, partly it is, but there's a lot of people you can support out there. You choose what you think is right, but you can support me by buying my books. I'm not asking you to support me for nothing. I offer in return books such as Ulysses Grant's Failed Presidency, which will explain how his Reconstruction policies impoverished the entire South for nearly 100 years, and disclose the corruption in his administration, which is probably more corrupt than any presidential administration in American history. Yet he's treated like a hero by the academic historians of today, the Blights, the Eric Foners, David Blight of Yale, Eric Foner of Columbia, and James McPherson of Princeton, Alan Guelzo of Princeton. All these guys, they have only one message. It's the same song repeated over and over. They have no originality in looking at things. My books, like that one, will definitely not merely repeat what they say. I'm going to give you the other interpretation. They are simply providing an interpretation which our society forces the academia, the students to accept as fact. They present it as fact. It's really nothing but interpretation. Another book you can buy, Southern Reconstruction by Philip Lee. You can buy my books. Both of those books you can buy from me for $25 with an autograph. And here in the United States, I will deliver it for free via postal mail. Just email me, Phil, Phil _ Lee, Leigh, at me.com. Now you can buy all my books at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, places like that. And this one is $22 at Amazon and Barnes & Noble without my autograph. This one is $20 at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, other fine bookstores without my autograph. Buy them there if that suits you better. But buy them. Learn what's in there, because we're like fish swimming in the ocean or the lake. We are so shaped by the environment around us, we don't really know fact from fiction. So many of us, especially those that come out of academia, believe me, you're just being taught an interpretation. You're not being given all the facts deliberately. If you want to get the facts that will help you support Confederate memory legitimately, with legitimate arguments, buy my books. Okay. I thank you for watching, and for the rest of us, let's get started on that ambassadorial program. Let's don't let Confederate heritage, Confederate memory critics treat us as abstractions. Let's show them we're real people, and those others who know us, may be more willing to consider that, we're not lunatics, and they may be more willing to listen. Just as gays evolved from being social pariahs to practically mainstream citizens in every way in 2021, this whole thing about Confederate memory can also be taken in that direction, and regain the respect of the American society, because Confederates, above all, were Americans. Okay, thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Philip Lee, and I'll see you the next time. Thanks. Goodbye.